Hi, my name is Thais Gibson, and I'm the creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk to you about 3 root causes of depression, of feelings of sadness, what we can do about these things, and how this all relates to today. So today is actually called Blue Monday. So Blue Monday is known to be the saddest day of the year due to a combination of long nights, shorter days, bad weather for a lot of different places in the world, and then just like the aftermath of the holidays, of people spending a lot of money, all these different sorts of things. So in this video, I am making this video specifically so that if you are feeling this way, to know that it's okay. And this is a normal experience to feel for many, many people worldwide throughout this time of year or this day of year specifically. And it's also important to know that there are things that you can do to help improve your situation right now. So when we look at the major root causes of depression, they tend to fall into 3 major categories. And keep in mind, like, I'm a big believer in nature plus nurture. I really believe that we have certain genetic predispositions towards things, but I also believe in epigenetics. And I also believe that those genetic predispositions get triggered or activated by our own relationship to our environment, by our habits, by our patterns. And I think that we can have a really profound impact on our own lives by our habits, our behaviors, and how we choose to show up. So I'm going to give you some tools. So 3 of the major root causes. 2 are emotional. One is, I think, more health oriented. And I really think I'll just touch on the third one really quickly. I think our gut health plays a major, major role in our serotonin uptake. And so having good gut health is extremely important. This is probably my area of expertise because I've recently, over the last 4 or 5 years, done so much research on this area, but it's not my area of education. So I'm not going to go into it too much, but at a high level, like having a really strong gut wall, taking supplements like L-glutamine, taking probiotics, making sure that you have a healthy balance of your microbiome is really important, or a good bacteria in your microbiome. I'm not going to go into that too much. I highly recommend that if you are interested in this stuff, you check out some channels of functional medicine doctors. I can put a couple links in here. And we also have a course, or not a course, but sort of a podcast inside PDS that's about an hour and a half long that I do with a functional medicine doctor all about gut health, where I interview him. So you can always check that all out, or let me know in the comments if you want to learn more about this too. But just keep in mind, the reason I'm adding this in here, and the value I think it adds, is just to know that sometimes if we're eating a bunch of junk food or a bunch of unhealthy foods over the holidays, this can disrupt our gut microbiome, and this can actually cause us to not feel as good. And it can just take a little bit of time to recover and sort of get back into balance after Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and all the different things that may be going on. So that's just the high level. Now, the 2 emotional things where I can tell you a lot of the nitty gritty details and give you really powerful tools is the 2 other things that tend to cause depression are chronically unmet needs, or feelings of sadness, chronically unmet needs, and number 2, painful beliefs or thought patterns. So I often say pain is when we have unmet needs, and suffering is the meaning we give to our needs not being met. So think of it this way. It's I can have an unmet need for love and connection. Maybe I've just been around people for the holidays. Let's just say in theory, right? I've been around all these people for the holidays, and now I'm back on lockdown and isolated and can't see people. That juxtaposition is going to cause me to really hurt over those unmet needs. Oh my gosh, unmet needs for love and connection, and for probably physical touch, hugging people and being around people, and emotional connection and sharing and talking, and all these really beautiful things that we need as human beings and that we're wired for. And so let's say we go through that withdrawal sort of feeling. And then let's say I don't recognize that my pain that I'm feeling is because of unmet needs. And so my subconscious mind seeks certainty. And when it does this, it usually gives meaning to a situation, which then causes suffering. And you'll see it, because this is the type of thing that our mind does. It goes, I feel lonely, I feel alone, I feel isolated, I don't feel good. And it must be because I'm not worthy enough to have people around who care about me. It must be because I don't matter to other people. I'm not that important. I'm going to be alone forever. I'm going to have this situation in my life go on for the rest of my life. And it's the mind wants to tell stories. It wants to give meaning because it's strategy to gain certainty. And so now we go into this situation where all of a sudden it's ouch, Now we have suffering, because think of how you feel when you truly believe those things. And whenever we have thoughts pass on autopilot that come from the subconscious mind, we automatically buy into those thoughts as if they're the truth. We are literally emoting as if we're living in that reality at the time. And so when you have these passing thoughts, they have an impact on your emotions. And when we think roughly 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day, which we know based on a study that came out of the University of Southern California's Neuroimaging Institute, if we have a ton of those thoughts that are triggered by painful core beliefs, they're painful patterns, and we're giving painful meaning to our unmet needs, well, now we have pain and suffering. And the more chronic this is, the more habitual this is, the more we're going to feel stuck in this situation. So it's really important for us to be able to become aware consciously of our unmet needs and to ask ourselves, like, what feels missing in our life right now? And what are some strategies I can use to close the gap around these needs? A huge one for isolation or for a lack of feeling love and connection being activated in our lives is, if we're feeling isolated or a lack of love and connection, close that gap by being more vulnerable, by actively seeking out more vulnerable conversations, meet with people over Zoom, or do whatever you can to like close that gap emotionally, give people hugs, whatever it is that you can do to close that gap intentionally and to build new habits in that area, to have more vulnerable phone conversations, to open up more, to ask deeper questions. Like, the mind will feel, it doesn't have to get its needs met in one form to feel fulfilled. So if you're used to being in person and then you're all of a sudden on a lockdown, you can find a way outside of that to get your needs met. You can close the gap like through all these different ways that we're talking about. I've seen people in long distance relationships, for example, close the gap by having dates over Zoom and cooking dinner of the same food and opening the same bottle of wine and hanging out that way. And of course, it's not quite the same. But if you're in a long distance relationship and it's just out of your hands, then that's a good strategy to at least fill the cup 3/4 of the way instead of the entire way, right? So you can see like how we can close that gap, and it makes us feel more empowered. And then when we come to the meaning, ask yourself, what stories do I tell about myself on a regular basis? What meaning do I give to situations when they don't go my way? Are there patterns there? And if so, how would I like to cognitively reframe those patterns? And this can be a really powerful thing to help you like just get out of that cycle of thinking on autopilot, feeling on autopilot, having the neurochemistry that follows, because emotions are made up of neurochemicals. And so if you're having this situation, your neurochemistry is being affected by the way you think and believe and feel. And so these are really important things to become aware of. And if you want to do a much deeper dive into this, we have a really in-depth course all about overcoming feelings of depression, sadness, and something called trauma thoughts, which are these extensive thoughts that we have as a result of past imprinted traumas in the subconscious mind that we haven't resolved. Super powerful course. We hear like amazing things and results from students inside PDS, and you can check it out for free for 7 days by clicking the link in the description box below. And it will give you really in-depth reprogramming tools and help you become really clear about your needs. So I hope this is a helpful resource. I hope this all makes sense. Thank you so much for being here and for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next video.